Has democracy in India turned into a dictatorship? A question that has sparked much debate recently. Welcome, political enthusiasts and curious minds alike. Today we find ourselves standing at a crossroads, grappling with a question that has been resonating within the corridors of power and the bustling streets of India alike. The question is simple yet perplexing, direct yet layered with complexities. Has the world's largest democracy subtly morphed into a dictatorship? Now, before we rush to any conclusions, let's take a moment to understand the current political climate of India. The country, renowned for its vibrant democracy and diverse cultural fabric, has seen rising concerns about its democratic health. Yes, we are talking about the whispers of authoritarianism, the murmurs about the suppression of dissent, and the debates on the reduction of checks and balances. The heart of the matter lies in a myriad of issues, from the concentration of power and the erosion of institutional autonomy to the increasingly polarized media landscape. But today, we focus on a specific point of contention that has brought this debate to the forefront: the farmer protests and the government's stance on them. Over the past few years, India has witnessed an unprecedented wave of farmer protests. The agricultural sector, the lifeline of the Indian economy, has been in turmoil, with farmers raising their voices against certain government policies they believe are detrimental to their livelihoods. On the other side of the barricades stands the government, steadfast in its belief that these policies are necessary for the long-term growth of the country. This standoff between the farmers and the government has not only highlighted the tensions within Indian society, but also raised questions about the nature of power and governance in the country. As we delve into this debate, we seek to understand the perspectives of both the government and the farmers. The question remains: is this a mere policy disagreement, or is it indicative of a larger shift in the Indian political landscape? Stay tuned as we navigate the labyrinth of the great Indian political conundrum. At the heart of the Indian government's actions lies a vision for a transformed agriculture sector. This vision, as per the government, is a tale of progress and prosperity, a tale of economic growth and modernization. The Indian government argues that the existing agricultural system is outdated, inefficient, and incapable of meeting the demands of a rapidly evolving global market. They believe that the time for change has come, that the old must make way for the new. They claim that the proposed agricultural reforms are a step in that direction, a step towards a better, brighter future for the farmers of India. According to the government, these reforms aim to empower farmers, to provide them with more opportunities, more choices. They argue that the reforms will free the farmers from the clutches of middlemen, that they will enable farmers to sell their produce at competitive prices, to whoever they want, wherever they want. They believe that this freedom will lead to increased income for the farmers, that it will improve their lives and livelihoods. The government also argues that the reforms will lead to economic growth, that they will boost the agricultural sector and, in turn, the entire economy. They claim that the reforms will attract investments, that they will bring in modern technology and practices, that they will lead to increased productivity and efficiency. They believe that this growth and modernization will benefit not just the farmers, but the entire nation. In essence, the government's stance is one of optimism and progress. They claim that they are ensuring a better future for the farmers of India, a future where the farmers are not just survivors, but thrivers, where they are not just producers, but entrepreneurs. However, the path to this envisioned future is mired in controversy and opposition, particularly from the farmers. The farmers, it appears, see a different future. A future where their rights are trampled, where their livelihoods are threatened, but that's a story for another scene. For now, let's focus on the government side of the story. After all, every coin has two sides, doesn't it? From the other side of the fence, the farmers see a very different picture. It's a tale of apprehension and unease, a story of livelihoods hanging in the balance. To the farmer tilling the soil under the blazing Indian sun, the fields are not just parcels of land, they are a legacy passed down through generations, a source of sustenance and a promise of the future. The fear of losing this land to corporations looms large in their minds, a specter that threatens their very existence. You see, farming is not a mere profession in India, it's a way of life. However, the prospect of potential exploitation by corporations, triggers fears of a future where they might be reduced to mere laborers on the land they once owned. The farmers worry that they may be left at the mercy of big businesses, stripped of the bargaining power they currently enjoy in local markets. Their concerns extend beyond land and livelihood. There's a palpable fear about the security of their income. Imagine being unsure if the fruits of your labor, the crops you've painstakingly grown, will yield a fair price. This fear is magnified by the lack of clarity on minimum support prices, a safeguard that has traditionally protected them from market volatility. The farmers aren't asking for much, really. They seek a fair deal, the right to negotiate, to secure their income, to have a safety net in times of distress. They're not against progress or development, but they demand that it doesn't come at the cost of their survival. The struggle of these farmers is not just about laws and policies, it's about their life and livelihood. It's about preserving the dignity of labor, of being able to provide for their families, of sustaining the very backbone of India's economy. Clearly, the farmers' apprehensions stand in stark contrast to the government's vision. But it's essential to remember that these fears and concerns are not mere rhetoric. They represent the lived reality of millions of farmers. Their voices, their struggles, their perspectives are integral to this narrative, and to ignore them would be to overlook a significant part of the story. So where does this leave us? In a clash of visions, it seems. The ongoing protests in India have transformed into a standoff, a face-off between the farmers on one side and the government on the other. This is not just a mere disagreement over a set of laws. It's a battle of perspectives, a battle of visions, and above all, a battle for the soul of India's democracy. The farmers, who have been the backbone of India's economy for centuries, fear that the new farm laws would dismantle the traditional safety net and leave them at the mercy of corporations. They worry about losing their land, their livelihoods, and their way of life. Their vision is one of preservation, of holding on to what they have known and cherished. On the other side, the government argues that these laws are necessary for modernizing agriculture and boosting the economy. They envision a future where farmers are free from the clutches of middlemen, where they have the freedom to sell their produce anywhere, and where they can reap the benefits of a free market. Their vision is one of progress, of moving forward, of embracing change. But the question is, can these two visions coexist? Can the farmers' fear of losing their traditional way of life be reconciled with the government's push for modernization? This battle is not just about the farmers and the government, it's about the very essence of India's democracy. It's about the right to dissent, the freedom of expression, the power of peaceful protest. It's about whether the government is truly for the people, or whether it's slowly veering towards autocracy. It's also about the wider socio-political landscape. The farmers' protests have sparked solidarity movements across the globe, highlighting the universal struggle for justice and equality. They have also exposed the deep-seated class and caste divisions within Indian society, reminding us that the fight for a fair and just society is far from over. This clash of visions, then, brings us back to the question, is India turning into a dictatorship? As we near the end of our discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. In our quest to understand whether India is morphing into a dictatorship, we've navigated through a complex political landscape. We've explored the government's vision for agricultural reform and the farmers' apprehensions, both of which form crucial parts of this discourse. The government's stance, as we've understood, is rooted in the vision of modernizing Indian agriculture. They propose a shift from traditional practices to a more market-oriented approach. The introduction of the new farm laws is seen as a step towards achieving this goal. The government believes that these reforms will free farmers from the clutches of middlemen and provide them with greater freedom to sell their produce. On the other hand, we've heard the farmers' perspective, their fears, and their concerns. They worry about the absence of a guaranteed minimum support price in the new laws, fearing that it could lead to exploitation by corporate entities. Farmers are apprehensive that these reforms could leave them at the mercy of big businesses, devoid of any protective shield that the government currently provides. In the clash of these visions, we observe a deep-seated conflict. The government, with its aim of transforming the agricultural sector, and the farmers, who are trying to protect their livelihoods. It's a classic case of change versus tradition, progress versus preservation. This brings us back to our central question: is India becoming a dictator? The answer isn't black and white. It's a complex issue that goes beyond the binary of yes or no. It calls for a nuanced understanding of the dynamics at play in the largest democracy in the world. Whether India is becoming a dictatorship or not is a question that remains open to interpretation. But one thing is clear: the voice of the people, in this case the farmers, cannot be silenced. This ongoing struggle is a testament to the power of collective resistance, a reminder that the spirit of democracy is alive and kicking in India.